Over half of all college graduates have one thing in common. 60% of them had to incur debt to successfully obtain their college degree. Now, this may not seem like an inherently large problem until we consider the stark statistic that merely 40% of all college graduates have taken a financial literacy course among their time in college. This means we have uneducated adults trying to navigate life while spending more money, making less money, and incurring debt. Financial literacy is proving to be a more pressing concern each year, and if not taken care of, we will have more uneducated and indebted young adults than ever before. However, there are some available solutions. Let's go explore 3 of them. Let's start off with something simple. Provide cheaper meals and greater food accessibility to students across the country. College students are always on the go, active in clubs or intramural sports, hitting the gym, doing Pilates, and more. It's no wonder that in a recent survey conducted, 47% of college students said that their biggest cause of spending was on food. Late-night study sessions or sports practices are leaving students with empty stomachs in closed dining halls, providing only one possible option: off-campus dining. This is not only time-consuming, but also expensive, given that only 64.2% of college students do not have a job. How are college students supposed to manage their spending when they can't even go a week without spending money on late-night dining trips? So, what does greater food availability look like? Well, it's a combination of more meal swipes, but also later dining option hours. College students at High Point University have at most 19 meal swipes a week. This isn't even enough for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. With students receiving 21 to 24 meal swipes a week, they no longer have to worry about where they're going to find their fuel, but can use the fuel that they now have for academics and athletics. Now, more meal swipes sounds great in theory, but unless students have access to food later than 9 p.m., they'll have to continue to go on campus to find later accessible dining, rendering those extra meal swipes useless. Solution number 2 is to create a student financial advising department within each university. 80% of college students have a credit card, and 50% of all college freshmen have credit card debt. Students are overspending with their credit cards because they don't have a great sense of budgeting, saving, or expense tracking. Students need advisors so that they're not spending outside of their means and they're able to manage their credit card usage effectively. Now, one of these advisors would typically get between 50 to 100 kids to manage throughout all of their years at the university. Students would be required to meet with their advisors once every month to go over recent expenses, track student spending habits, create savings plans, and establish positive budgeting habits. Now, this department will create internship opportunities for any finance students that are interested in the financial area, as well as financial advising. The third and final solution that I have is to institute mandatory financial literacy classes for all freshmen across the country in college. A collegiate financial advising department would equip students with the investing, budgeting, spending, and saving knowledge needed to ensure them a secure financial foundation in the future. Providing students with ways to ensure that they are academically successful is critical. And what better way to do this than ensure that the completion of a financial literacy class is a graduation requirement? Over the course of the semester, students would learn basic level investing and set up a portfolio, learn and create a monthly budget, research job openings around the area, create current and future spending plans, and more. Exposing students multiple times a week to the basics of finance can help ensure that they will find financial freedom in a world surrounded with financial debt. Now, these 3 ideas have serious potential for success, but some would argue that the financial debt that college students incur should not be paid off by the universities, but rather the government should provide subsidies to help all college graduates become debt-free. This would allow college students to avoid the large debts that were amassed during schooling. Theoretically, this would increase the standard of living for recent college graduates, but this is far too unreasonable for multiple reasons. First, national student loan debts totaled $1.77 trillion. If the government were to pay off all this debt, inflation would run rampant across the country and greatly decrease the purchasing power of everyone in the United States. Additionally, the problem of financial literacy cannot simply be trimmed. A weed must be pulled from the roots for it to stop growing, and cutting the weed will still allow it to reappear in the future. The same is true with spending habits. Bailing out indebted college students will only give way to more debt, caused by the already poor financial habits that college students have acquired. Providing subsidies will only increase the national debt, inflation rate, and personal debt of recent college graduates. College students need to have better financial skills, and the best possible way to achieve this is to enforce a graduation requirement financial literacy class for all freshmen to take in college. They must be taught how to budget, invest, and set up spending and savings plans. The time of sending financially uneducated and indebted young adults into the real world is over. Financial freedom must start today, and it must start with our higher education system.